Hi everyone, welcome again to my farm video. As you all know, if you have been following me on this channel, you are aware that I relocated from the UK and returned back to Kenya. I would like to say I'm a returnee who has been living outside of Kenya for over 20 years. They like to call us diasporians. To be precise, 5 years lived in France and 15 years lived in the United Kingdom. In today's video, I will do a part 1 of my transition because I wanted to highlight, the challenges and my experience starting from scratch after returning back to Kenya. It would be unfair if I did not, speak a little bit of that part of history of my life lived in Europe, and it will not bring the connection, the connection of my returning back to Kenya. Even though I'm not going to go into the nitty-gritty of, of part of my history in the UK and in France, it will only be fair if I can also touch a little bit on, on my transition, so that we can connect to why we came to start our life back in Kenya. Before I can delve into speaking about my return, let me first mention that I made a sober decision at the height of my career. I think it is important for me to add that my decision to return to Kenya was a long and well meticulated, deeply thought out, and weighed out decisions that took years of planning, 4 years to be precise. Even though I have always had that nagging thought that I should go back to my country, in the longest, but of course it was premature. But 2020 is when now that really kicked in really deep, and I knew that I needed to start my preparations to go back to my country. Guys, for those who have lived outside Kenya for more than 5 years, I think you can attest that once you have settled in another country, working, living, paying your taxes in that country, you can become attached more to that country of residence because you kind of make that your home. So you make most of your connections in this country, and the idea of detaching or leaving that behind can become daunting. It is never easy. I think we can all agree. It is like part of you has got accustomed to living in this place. That's why you've made your life. That's why you have laid your foundations. So I would like to share my why I decided to return to Kenya after all these years living outside. Everyone has their reasons or why they return or why they don't. And it's okay. It's okay if you are in diaspora and you choose to stay over there and not return back to your country. And it's okay for those diasporans who are choosing to return. We all have our own valid reasons why we want to come back or why we want to stay. So my decision to return was not emotionally charged, guys. Let's first of all have that as a side note, okay? It was not emotionally charged. Well, to some degree, yes. If I will be honest, sometimes I felt so emotional. I felt like I just needed to just leave. But it was not easy. Easy said than done. And yes, there are times when I felt like throwing in the towel. But I had to hold on to my emotions and to my feelings until I was ready enough to make that move, because I did not want to just make a move from an emotional point of view and then I come back here and then I start returning back to Europe. So I had to be very, very, very conscious about that. My first reason that propelled me now to make that decision to return was homesick. I was so homesick, guys. All my adulthood, I had lived outside of my country, outside of my home, outside of my family. So I was lonely. Yeah, I became so lonely until I felt like I was not living. Imagine missing on all family occasions and missing on your family. You get to a point where you feel like you're left out. Yes. So that was a key for me. My second valid reason was to truly live. Live and not just exist or survive. Like live and save a life. So I began to uncover familiar circumstances, such as wanting to be close to my family as more important than any money or material things that, the world had made me to believe is what made life worth the living. I started a very self exploratory journey where I began to really and truly discover and search for the true meaning of life. So I began to internalize this, okay, from my view, not from the societal lenses. I began to weigh what life means, not from what the world says, not from what the system has it made us believe. With this in mind, I began to search deeper from within my soul. Now, with this focus, I started to feel uncomfortable with the life or things that I was doing, even though I was in a well-paying job. I had secured myself a good job, as a civil servant. I was working with an prestigious, county council in London. Yeah. So I had this permanent job. I was secure, a good paycheck. But then the more I thought about it is I began to realize that how the system works, the matrix system, is meant for survival. Okay? So you just exist. So you just turn to work for the system. So I desired a simple life where I can live, truly live. My third valid reason was I needed a peace away from the fast paced lifestyle that London was offering me. Okay, so that I can connect with myself. First of all, connect with my God and connect with myself, and then connect with the people that I love. So I had to cut my costs, my sacrifices now to realign my life to the actual way that Yahuwah had ordained for me to live. I opted for the simple life, simple and not complicated, to enjoy the literal luxuries that life has to offer, that Yahuwah has given, our environment, nature, simple things within our reach, the things that are so simple yet costly when we ignore them. Eating food from the ground, healing from the herbs of the field, waking up in the morning without schedules, sleeping, fully aware that I don't have to run up and down so that I can make a living to survive. Yeah, that's simple and not complicated life, where I can connect truly with my family and relationships. in the matrix, you're always in this vicious cycle unless you move yourself into the order of Yahuwah. You never really get the satisfaction of it, because you'd have thought that, okay, I'm in London, I have this good job, I have my, a good place to live, I'm okay, but still there's that emptiness. Then I realized that the system, of course, is so broken. It is meant to fulfill some areas and not others. And from that view, I decided to quit, disconnect myself from the matrix.
Okay, so this has been my place of work. This has been my place of work, and yeah, that is me exiting and saying goodbye to my former place of work where I was working in Southwark Castle. Today, I officially make an exit. I officially make an exit, saying goodbye. That was my office upstairs, second floor, first floor. This is the main office. This is where I began. Then I went to another office, of course. And today, I actually make an exit. I make an exit. I make an exit. So that's it.
My fourth valid reason to returning back home, back to Kenya, was because I wanted to plant my own food. I wanted to eat, fresh food from the earth. I wanted to embrace, the biblical way of, planting food, waiting on the seasons, embracing the order of Yahuwah, and being self-sustenance. Those are some of the main reasons that made me make that move, that bold move, amongst many others, of course. And with that in mind, so I decided now to make my exit. And the good thing is, having lived in the United Kingdom for a very long time, I realized that as a Kenyan citizen, I could actually, get exempted from paying import duty. All right. But guys, I had my fair share of hiccups doing this, the shipping. Okay, I think I cannot discuss this here, and I will maybe if you like, I can make another video for another day to discuss what I encountered, the experiences, the challenges, the hiccups. Oh my word, I cannot be able to put this here. Yeah, that's another content altogether. Okay. Yeah. And if you like, I'll be happy to share it with you in another video. Okay.